The conference room on the 47th floor of Sterling Tower fell silent as the glass doors opened. Every executive in the room turned to look at the woman who entered, tall, elegant, dressed in a custom Armani suit that probably cost more than most of their monthly salaries. Victoria Sterling, or, as she was known in the business world, the Ice Queen of Manhattan. At 28 years old, she had built a billion-dollar empire in just 5 years, crushing competitors with the precision of a surgeon and the ruthlessness of a warlord. But today, Victoria wasn't there to make a deal. She was there to destroy one. "Gentlemen," she said, her voice smooth as silk and cold as winter, "I believe you're expecting someone else." The elderly man at the head of the table stood up abruptly, his face draining of color. His hands trembled as he gripped the edge of the mahogany table. "You," he whispered, "you're supposed to be dead." Victoria smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, father, I know. You made sure of that 10 years ago, didn't you?" The room erupted in confused murmurs. Victoria's assistant, Marcus, placed a thick folder on the table in front of her. "This meeting," Victoria continued, "is not about the merger you think you're here to discuss. This meeting is about justice. This meeting is about the daughter you tried to erase. And this meeting, father, is about watching everything you built crumble to dust." She opened the folder, revealing documents, photographs, and evidence that would change everything. "Let me tell you a story," Victoria said, her eyes locked on the man who had betrayed her. "A story about a little girl who loved her father more than anything in the world. A story about how that father chose a stranger over his own blood. And a story about how that little girl became the most powerful woman in New York, just to watch that father beg." Emma Harrison was 18 years old when her world fell apart. It started on a Tuesday not with thunder or dramatic music, but with the sound of laughter coming from her father's study. Not just any laughter, her father's laughter, the kind she hadn't heard in years, not since her mother died when Emma was 12. She stood outside the heavy oak door, her hand hovering over the handle, curiosity mixing with something she couldn't quite name. Dread, maybe. "You remind me so much of her." Her father's voice came through the door, warm and tender in a way Emma had almost forgotten. "Your mother would have loved you." Emma's hand dropped. Her mother, but he was talking to someone else. She pushed the door open. Inside, seated in the leather chair that had been her mother's favorite, the chair Emma wasn't allowed to sit in because it was too special, was a girl. She looked about Emma's age, maybe a year younger. Beautiful in that effortless way that came from good genes and better confidence. Dark hair cascaded over her shoulders, and when she smiled at Emma's father, it was dazzling. Emma, her father, stood up, but there was something in his expression, not quite guilt, but not quite innocence either. "I was just about to call you. Come in. There's someone I want you to meet." The girl stood up gracefully, extending a manicured hand. "You must be Emma. I've heard so much about you. I'm Lily. Lily Chen." Emma shook her hand mechanically, her mind racing. Sorry, I didn't know we were expecting guests." "Not a guest," her father said, and there was excitement in his voice that made Emma's stomach twist. "Lily is, well, this is a bit sudden, but I've been meaning to talk to you about this for a while now." He moved to stand beside Lily, placing a hand on her shoulder in a gesture so familiar, so fatherly, that Emma felt something crack inside her chest. "I'm adopting Lily," he announced. "The papers were finalized this morning. She's officially part of our family now." The room tilted. Emma heard the words, but they didn't make sense. Adoption? Family? This stranger? One. But Emma's voice came out smaller than she intended. "Dad, I don't understand. You didn't even tell me you were thinking about it." "Happened quickly," he interrupted, and there was something in his tone, impatience. "Lily's been through so much. Her parents died in a car accident 6 months ago. She has no one. And when I met her through the charity foundation, I knew she needed a family. We needed," he caught himself. "I needed someone to pour my energy into again. We needed, not I needed, we." But he'd corrected himself, hadn't he? "This is wonderful news," Emma forced herself to say, forced herself to smile, even as something cold and dark settled in her stomach. "Welcome to the family, Lily." Lily's smile widened. "Thank you, Emma. Your father has told me so much about you. I hope we can be sisters." Real sisters. There was something in the way she said it, something that made Emma's skin prickle. But her father was beaming, happier than Emma had seen him in 6 years, and Emma loved her father. She loved him so much that she swallowed the unease, pushed down the questions, and told herself she was being selfish. Her father deserved happiness, didn't he? She had no idea that this moment, this single Tuesday afternoon, was the beginning of the end of everything she had ever known. The changes started small. A week after Lily moved into the Harrison estate, Emma came home from her part-time job at the local bookstore to find her room had been moved. "Your father thought you'd be more comfortable in the East Wing," the housekeeper, Mrs. Patterson, explained apologetically. "Miss Lily's room is being renovated. You see, water damage. So she needed to take yours temporarily." "Temporarily," Emma repeated. Mrs. Patterson couldn't meet her eyes. Emma's new room was smaller, darker, with a view of the service entrance instead of the gardens her mother had designed. All her things had been moved: her books, her mother's jewelry box, the photos on her nightstand. Someone else's hands had touched her most precious possessions. She found Lily in what used to be Emma's room, already redecorating. "Oh, Emma." Lily turned with that bright smile. "I'm so sorry about this. The water damage in my room was just terrible. Your father insisted I take yours until mine is fixed. But look, I saved all your things. They're all in boxes in your new room." Boxes. Her life in boxes. "How long until your room is fixed?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice neutral. "Oh, I'm not sure. These things take time, don't they?" Lily tilted her head, and for just a second, just a fraction of a second, something flickered in her eyes, something that looked almost like triumph. "But don't worry, I'm sure it won't be long. Unless your father did mention that this room gets better light. Better for studying," he said. "And since I'm starting at Columbia this fall," Emma felt her stomach drop. She'd been accepted to Columbia too, had dreamed of it for years. "You're going to Columbia?" "Yes, your father pulled some strings. Isn't it wonderful? We'll be there together." Real sisters? Just like I said. But they weren't together. Because Emma's acceptance letter had come with scholarships and financial aid, carefully budgeted over years of planning. Lily's acceptance came with a full donation wing to the university library, courtesy of James Harrison. That's great, Lily." Emma left before the girl could see the tears building. That night at dinner, Emma tried to bring it up. "Dad, about my room." "Emma, please. Can't you see I'm exhausted?" Her father didn't even look up from his plate. "Lily's been through so much. The least we can do is make her comfortable, but it's just temporary, right? Until her room is fixed? We'll see. We'll see. Not yes. Not of course, sweetheart. Just, we'll see." Lily reached across the table, placing her hand over Emma's with what looked like genuine sympathy. "I really am sorry, Emma. I know this is an adjustment, but family makes sacrifices for each other, right?" The word tasted like poison. Family, but Emma smiled, nodded, swallowed her hurt, because she loved her father. And if making Lily comfortable made him happy, then Emma would bear it. She had no idea how much more she would be asked to bear. It happened gradually, like water wearing away stone. First, it was the room. Lily's room was mysteriously never fixed. After a month, new furniture started appearing in Emma's old room, Lily's furniture. Expensive pieces that matched Lily's aesthetic perfectly. "Your father thought a fresh start would be good for Lily," Mrs. Patterson explained when Emma asked. The housekeeper looked pained. "I'm sorry, dear." Then it was the college fund. Emma's mother had left her a trust fund, carefully managed, meant to cover her education and give her a start in life. It wasn't enormous. Her mother had come from a middle-class family, but it was hers, sacred. The last gift from the woman who'd loved her unconditionally, until Emma tried to access it for her first semester tuition. "I'm sorry, Miss Harrison," the bank manager said, his face apologetic. "But the account was closed 3 months ago." "The funds were transferred where? By whom?" "Your father, as the executor of your mother's estate, had the authority. The money was reallocated to, let me see here, a general family education fund." Emma felt the room spin. She found her father in his study that evening. Lily was there too, of course. Lily was always there now. "Dad, I need to talk to you." "About Mom's trust fund." Her father barely glanced up from the papers he was reviewing. "What about it?" "It's gone. The bank said you transferred it." "Oh, that." He waved his hand dismissively. "I consolidated the accounts. More efficient, don't worry. Your tuition is covered." "But that was my mother's money. For me, she set it up specifically." "Emma, don't be selfish." His voice turned sharp. "That money is being used for its intended purpose, education. Lily's education is just as important as yours, but it was mine." Emma's voice cracked. "It was the one thing Mom left me. Your mother would have wanted you to share." He finally looked at her, and there was something cold in his eyes, something Emma had never seen before. "Family shares, Emma, or are you too immature to understand that?" The words hit like a slap. Lily stood up, moving to Emma's side. "Emma, I had no idea. If I had known this money was from your mother, I would never have you knew." Emma pulled away from Lily's touch. The words came out before she could stop them. "You had to have known." "Emma Harrison." Her father stood, his voice thundering. "Apologize to your sister right now. She's not my sister." The silence that followed was deafening. Her father's face turned cold, distant. "Get out. I don't want to see you until you can behave like an adult." Emma fled, tears streaming down her face. Behind her, she heard Lily's voice, sweet and concerned. "Oh, Mr. Harrison, don't be too hard on her. She's just having trouble adjusting." I'm sure she didn't mean it, but Emma had meant it. Every word. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that this was all just the beginning. Lily Chen hadn't just moved into Emma's home. She had moved into Emma's life with the precision of a chess master. and Emma didn't even realize she was playing a game she'd already lost. Emma found sanctuary in the one place that still felt like hers, the small bookstore where she worked part-time. "You look like death," commented Alex Chen, the store's assistant manager, when Emma arrived for her shift 3 days after the trust fund confrontation. What happened? Alex was 25, had dropped out of Columbia to help his sick mother, and had the kind of easy smile that made people trust him instantly. He'd been Emma's friend since she started working at the store 6 months ago, one of the few people who knew her as just Emma, not Emma Harrison, daughter of Manhattan real estate mogul James Harrison. Emma hadn't cried since that night in her father's study. She'd been holding it together through sheer force of will. But something about Alex's genuine concern, his kind eyes, made all her walls crumble. She told him everything. When she finished, Alex was quiet for a long moment. "This Lily girl," he said finally. "Something feels off about this whole situation. My father loves her," Emma said, even though the words hurt. "I've never seen him so happy. Not since Mom died." "Emma, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me." Alex turned to face her fully. "Love doesn't have to come at the expense of the people you already love. Your father shouldn't have to erase you to make room for her." The words hit Emma like a revelation, because that's exactly what it felt like. Erasure. "I don't know what to do," Emma whispered. "You document everything," Alex said firmly. "Every incident, every time your father chooses her over you, every financial transaction. You protect yourself, Emma, because from what you're telling me, this is only going to get worse." He was right. 2 weeks later, Emma came home to find Lily wearing her mother's necklace. It was a simple piece of gold locket with her mother's picture inside. Not expensive, but priceless to Emma. She'd kept it in her mother's jewelry box, which she'd specifically asked Mrs. Patterson to move to her new room. Lily was showing it off to a group of her new friends in the living room. "It was a gift," Lily was saying. "From my father. Well, our father. It's a family heirloom. That's my mother's necklace," Emma said, her voice shaking. The room fell silent. Lily's hand flew to the locket, her eyes wide with what looked like genuine surprise. "Oh, Emma, I had no idea. Your father gave it to me this morning," he said. "He said it was important that I feel like part of the family, that I have something that belonged to your mother." Emma's vision blurred with rage. "Take it off, Emma, please. I didn't know. Take it." Emma lunged forward, and suddenly there were hands pulling her back, and Lily was stumbling backward with a cry. And Emma's father was there, his face dark with fury. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he roared. "She's wearing Mom's necklace. The one thing I asked to keep, and you gave it to her? It's just a necklace, Emma. It's Mom's necklace. Your mother is dead." The words echoed through the mansion. Emma froze. Her father had never spoken about her mother like that. She'd been dead for 6 years, and I'm tired of living in a shrine to her memory. Lily is here now. Lily is alive. And if you can't accept that, if you can't grow up and share like a normal person, then maybe you're the problem. Emma felt something inside her break. Not crack, shatter. "Fine," she said, her voice hollow. "I'm the problem. Got it." She turned and walked away, even as Lily called after her. "Emma, wait. Please let me explain." But there was nothing to explain. Emma understood perfectly now. She had been replaced. What Emma didn't know was that upstairs, in what used to be her room, Lily Chen was smiling at her reflection, her fingers caressing the locket at her throat. Everything was going exactly according to plan. It was Alex who figured it out. "Emma, you need to see this," he said urgently when she arrived at the bookstore the next morning. Her eyes were red from crying, and she'd barely slept. He pulled out his laptop, angling it so she could see the screen. "I couldn't stop thinking about this whole situation, so I did some digging. Look at this." It was a news article from 18 months ago. "Manhattan socialite Charlotte Harrison dies in car accident." "I know about the accident," Emma said. "Lily told me her parents died. Look at the parents' names." Emma leaned closer. "David and Charlotte Chen." "But wait, Charlotte Harrison Chen. Your mother's maiden name was Harrison, right?" Emma nodded slowly. "I found the family tree. Charlotte Chen was your mother's second cousin. Distant, but family." The implications crashed into Emma like a wave. So Lily was related to my mother, and she never mentioned it. My father never mentioned it. It gets worse. Alex pulled up another tab. "I found Lily's social media from before the accident. Look at the posts." Emma scrolled through Lily's Instagram. Party pictures, expensive vacations, designer clothes, and dozens of photos at charity galas hosted by James Harrison's foundation. These were all dated before her parents died. Emma said slowly, "She knew my father. They'd met multiple times." "Keep scrolling." Emma did. And then she saw a photo from 2 years ago. Lily and her mother at a Harrison Foundation gala, and in the background, partially obscured but unmistakably Miss Father, laughing mid-conversation. The caption read, "Mom says Mr. Harrison knew Aunt Elaine, my dad's sister, when they were young. Small world." Such an inspiring man. Hashtag goals, hashtag future businesswoman Aunt Elaine. Not Emma's mother, Laura Harrison. Another connection. Alex, what am I looking at? I think, Alex said carefully, that Lily Chen has known about your family for a very long time. I think her parents' death might have been an opportunity, not a tragedy. You think she would plan this? Manipulated my father into adopting her. I think she saw an opportunity and took it. Look at the timeline. Her parents died in March. By July, she's adopted. That's fast. Emma, adoption takes time, paperwork, background checks, unless someone with power and money pushes it through. Emma felt sick. But why? Why would she do this? Money, status. Or maybe, Alex hesitated. Maybe she's exactly what she appears to be. A grieving girl who latched on to the first person who showed her kindness. But either way, she's not being honest about her connection to your family. Emma thought about all the little moments. Lily always seeming to know exactly what to say to Emma's father. How quickly she'd learned the layout of the house, the names of the staff, how comfortable she seemed in her mother's chair, wearing her mother's jewelry. I need to tell my father. Emma, wait. Think about this. Your father is already choosing her over you. If you come at him with accusations, especially ones based on social media and speculation, but this proves she lied. Does it? Or does it prove she never explicitly told you everything about her past? Emma, I'm worried that if you confront him about this, it'll just make things worse. Emma knew he was right, but she couldn't just do nothing. Then I'll talk to her first. Get her to admit it. And if she doesn't, Emma didn't have an answer for that. That night, she waited until her father was at a business dinner. She knocked on the door of what used to be her room. Come in. Lily was at the desk, studying. When she saw Emma, her smile was warm, genuine seeming. Emma, I'm so glad you came. I've been wanting to talk about yesterday. I really am sorry about the necklace. I should have asked you first. Why didn't you tell me you knew my father before the adoption? The smile didn't falter, but something flickered in Lily's eyes. Something sharp. What do you mean? I saw the photos, Lily, from the galas you and your mother. You'd met my father multiple times before your parents died. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she sighed, setting down her pen. You're right. I had met him before. I didn't think it was important. Not important? You act like you're some orphan who randomly got lucky. But you targeted my father. Targeted. Lily stood up, and now the warmth was completely gone from her expression. Emma, my parents died. I was 17 years old, alone and terrified. Yes, I remembered Mr. Harrison from the galas. He was always kind to me. So when I had nowhere else to go, I reached out. He offered to help. That's not targeting. That's survival. You manipulated him. I didn't manipulate anyone. Lily's voice rose. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes. I knew about your family. Yes. I knew your father was wealthy and kind. And yes, when my entire world fell apart, I thought of him as someone who might help me. Is that really so evil, Emma? Or are you just angry that your father actually wants me around? The words stung because they touched on Emma's deepest fear. He's my father. Not yours. And yet he chose to make me his daughter, too. Lily's smile returned. But it was different now, colder. Maybe ask yourself why that is. Maybe it's not about me at all. Maybe it's about you. Emma turned and left before Lily could see the tears, but she heard Lily's final words, soft and cutting. Some daughters are easier to love than others. Dr. Chun's halfway house was in Pasadena, converted Victorian home with 12 beds, a communal kitchen, and rules. Lots of rules. No drugs, no alcohol, no men. Curfew at 10 p.m. Mandatory group therapy twice a week. Job training every weekday. For the first time in months, Emma had structure, stability, a bed that was hers, even if she had to share a room with 3 other women. The other residents had their own stories. Maria, a former addict trying to get clean. Jasmine, who'd aged out of foster care with nowhere to go. Keiko, who'd fled an arranged marriage. In group therapy, Emma finally told her story. All of it. The adoption, the betrayal, the restraining order, the fall from grace. When she finished, Dr. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Emma, can I ask you something? What do you want? I want my life back. No, doctor, Chen said gently. That's what you've lost. What do you want? Moving forward. What would make you happy? Emma opened her mouth to answer, then realized she had no idea. For 19 years, she'd been James Harrison's daughter. That had been her entire identity. And when that was taken away, she'd become nothing. A void. A girl-shaped hole where a person used to be. I don't know, she whispered. Then that's where we start, Dr. Chun said, finding out who Emma Harrison is when she's not defined by her father. It took months. Emma started with the basics. She got her GED. She'd never finished her senior year after everything fell apart. Then she enrolled in community college, taking business classes during the day and working at Dr. Chen's medical practice as a receptionist at night. She was good at it, really good, organized, efficient, with a natural head for numbers and systems, Dr. Chen noticed. Have you ever thought about business school? Dr. Chen asked one day. Emma laughed bitterly. With what? Money? I'm barely affording community college. There are scholarships, grants, and you're smart, Emma, really smart. Don't let your father's betrayal convince you otherwise. Something about those words struck deep. Don't let your father's betrayal convince you otherwise. Emma had spent a year telling herself she was worthless, that her father's rejection meant she deserved to be rejected, that Lily's success meant Emma was the failure. But what if that wasn't true? What if she could be successful on her own terms? That night, Emma applied to 15 different scholarship programs. She wrote essays about overcoming adversity, about resilience, about refusing to be defined by your worst moments. 6 months later, she got a full ride to UCLA's business program. She was 20 years old, and for the first time in her life, she'd earned something that was entirely hers. No father's influence, no family name, just Emma's work, Emma's merit, Emma's future. It happened in her junior year at UCLA. Emma was working as a research assistant for Professor Michael Sterling, a venture capitalist who taught entrepreneurship part-time. He was brilliant, ruthless, and notoriously difficult to impress. But Emma impressed him. She'd written a paper analyzing the venture capital landscape in emerging markets, specifically focusing on overlooked opportunities in sustainable technology. It was thorough, innovative, and showed a level of strategic thinking most graduate students couldn't achieve. Professor Sterling called her into his office. This paper, he said, tapping the document on his desk, is publishable. More than publishable. It's the kind of analysis my firm pays consultants 6 figures to produce. Emma blinked. Thank you, Professor. I'm not complimenting you, Ms. Harrison. I'm offering you a job. Emma's heart stopped. A job, summer internship at Sterling Capital. If you do well, it becomes a full-time position after graduation. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. You're talented, Emma, wasted in academia. But I should warn you, my firm isn't for the faint of heart. We work 100-hour weeks. We make billion-dollar decisions. We destroy companies that can't keep up. I can keep up, Emma said, surprising herself with her confidence. Professor Sterling smiled. I believe you can. That summer internship changed Emma's life. Sterling Capital was a Shark Tank, brilliant, ambitious people all fighting for the same limited partnerships. Emma should have been eaten alive. She was the youngest, the least experienced, the one without connections. But Emma had something the others didn't: hunger. Not the normal ambition of someone trying to succeed. Emma had the desperate, consuming hunger of someone who had lost everything and would do anything to make sure she never lost again. She worked longer hours than anyone else, stayed up until 3 a.m. analyzing companies, building financial models, finding opportunities others missed. She was ruthless in meetings, cutting through bullshit with surgical precision. By the end of summer, she'd identified 3 investment opportunities that would make Sterling Capital over $200 million in the next 2 years. Professor Sterling offered her a full-time position before she even graduated. You're different from the others, he said. They want success. You need it. That makes you dangerous. And dangerous people make a lot of money. Emma graduated UCLA at 23 with honors, a job offer that paid $150,000 a year, and a burning ambition that terrified even her. But she still wasn't ready, because making money wasn't enough. Emma didn't just want success, she wanted power. The kind of power that could crush the people who destroyed her. Emma spent the next 5 years becoming someone her father wouldn't recognize. At Sterling Capital, she was relentless. She identified undervalued companies, convinced Sterling to invest, then personally worked with those companies to turn them around. Some she saved, others she dismantled, selling the pieces for profit. She learned to be ruthless, learned that sentiment was weakness, learned that in business there were only winners and losers, and Emma refused to lose ever again. By 25, she was a junior partner. By 26, she'd made her first million. By 27, she'd made her first 10 million by identifying a tech startup that would eventually become one of the largest AI companies in the world. But Emma didn't just make money for Sterling Capital. She made connections, learned who had power in New York, who owed favors, who had secrets. She built a network of allies and information that would make a spy envious. And she changed her appearance. The soft, uncertain girl who'd been kicked out of her father's house was gone. Emma cut her long brown hair into a sleek black bob, started wearing designer suits that cost more than her old car, learned to walk into rooms like she owned them because soon she would. She changed her name to, legally, Emma Harrison ceased to exist. She became Victoria Sterling partly as tribute to the man who'd given her a chance, partly because she wanted a name that commanded respect. Victoria Sterling, cold, powerful, untouchable. At 28, Victoria made her move. She left Sterling Capital with Professor Sterling's blessing and a seed investment of $50 million. She started her own firm, Sterling Enterprises, and she went to war. Victoria spent 6 months researching her first target, a failing real estate development company that happened to be one of James Harrison's biggest competitors. She bought it, turned it around, then used it to systematically undercut Harrison Properties on every major contract. Her father never knew it was her. To him, Victoria Sterling was just another aggressive young investor making waves in Manhattan. But Victoria was just getting started. She bought companies, sold companies, made billion-dollar deals with the ease of someone ordering coffee. Forbes put her on their 30 under 30 list. Business Insider called her the Ice Queen of Manhattan. She became famous for her ruthlessness. Companies feared her. Executives warned each other, don't get on Victoria Sterling's bad side. But all of it, every success, every victory, every billion earned was in service of one goal, destroying James Harrison. And she was finally ready. Victoria sat in her penthouse office on the 47th floor of Sterling Tower, looking out over Manhattan. She'd bought this building 2 years ago, specifically because it offered a perfect view of her father's office building, 15 blocks away. Every morning she looked at that building and reminded herself why she was doing this. On her desk was a file, a thick file that had taken 3 years and millions of dollars to compile. Everything about James Harrison, his business deals, his finances, his secrets, and most importantly, everything about Lily Chen. Victoria opened the file, reviewing the contents one more time. Lily had done well for herself. Graduated Yale, married a senator's son, became the coup of Harrison Properties. By all accounts, she was the perfect daughter James Harrison had always wanted. But Victoria had dug deeper, and she'd found things, interesting things. Lily's Yale acceptance had been bought with a $5 million donation. Her marriage to Senator Bradley's son was already falling apart, 3 affairs on his side, 2 on hers. And her role at Harrison Properties was largely ceremonial. James made all the real decisions, but none of that was what Victoria needed. What Victoria needed was, in a subsidiary file labeled the Chen Family Trust. Before her death, Charlotte Chen, Lily's mother, had established a trust for Lily. It was substantial, $50 million, to be released when Lily turned 30. But there was a clause Lily probably didn't even remember, buried in pages of legal jargon. If it could be proven that Lily had engaged in fraud or manipulation to obtain financial benefit from a family member, the trust would be voided and the money donated to charity. Victoria smiled. Charlotte Chen might have been distant family, but she'd been smart. She'd built in protections, just in case. And Victoria was about to prove that Lily Chen had manipulated James Harrison from the very beginning. She picked up her phone and called her lawyer. Marcus, it's time. File the lawsuit and scheduled a board meeting for Harrison Properties. It's time my father knew I was coming. Are you sure about this, Victoria? Once you start, there's no going back. Victoria looked at the photograph on her desk, the only picture she'd kept from her old life. It showed a younger Emma, maybe 12 years old, with her mother at the beach, both of them laughing, happy, unaware of the tragedies to come. I've never been more sure of anything, Victoria said. The news broke on a Monday morning. Mysterious billionaire Victoria Sterling files fraud lawsuit against James Harrison and Lily Chen. The business world exploded with speculation. Who was Victoria Sterling, really? Why was she targeting James Harrison? What did she hope to gain? Victoria didn't give interviews, didn't make statements, just let her lawyers do the talking, and scheduled the board meeting that would change everything. James Harrison was forced to attend. Victoria had bought enough shares in Harrison Properties over the past 2 years to have a seat at the table. She'd done it through shell companies, hidden behind layers of corporate structure. By the time James realized what was happening, it was too late. Victoria walked into that boardroom like she was walking into battle. 20 executives turned to look at her. At the far end of the table, James Harrison stood, his face red with fury. And beside him, Lily Chen, looking as poised and perfect as ever. Neither of them recognized Victoria. How could they? The broken 19-year-old they'd destroyed bore no resemblance to the powerful woman standing before them. "Gentlemen," Victoria said, her voice cutting through the murmurs, "I believe you're expecting someone else." James Harrison's eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you?" Victoria smiled, set down her briefcase, opened it slowly, deliberately. "I'm Victoria Sterling, though you might remember me by another name." She pulled out a photograph, the same one she kept on her desk. Young Emma and her mother, laughing at the beach. She slid it across the table. James Harrison picked it up, stared at it, and the color drained from his face. "No," he whispered. You're supposed to be dead," Victoria finished. "Yes, Father, I'm aware that's what you hoped. But as you can see, I'm very much alive, and I'm here to take everything you love." The room erupted in chaos. Lily had gone pale, gripping the edge of the table. James Harrison was staring at Victoria like he'd seen a ghost. "Emma," he said, his voice cracking. "Emma, is that really you?" Emma died 10 years ago in the streets of Los Angeles. Victoria said coldly, I'm what rose from her ashes. And I'm here to make you answer for what you did, what I did. Emma, I tried to find you after you ran away. ILIED. Victoria's voice echoed through the room. You filed a restraining order against me? You blacklisted me from every job in the city. You systematically destroyed any chance I had at building a life. And then you moved on like I never existed. That was for your own protection. After what you did to Lily, what I did. Victoria turned to Lily, who was trying to look small and frightened. Shall we tell them what really happened, Lily? Or should I? Lily's mask cracked just slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. Then let me refresh your memory. Victoria pulled out another file. This one was thick, full of documents, photos, testimonies. This, Victoria said, placing it on the table, is everything I've compiled over the past 3 years. Evidence that Lily Chen manipulated my father from the moment she entered our lives. That she systematically isolated me, turned my father against me, and orchestrated that final confrontation to get me permanently removed from the picture. That's ridiculous, Lily said, but there was panic in her eyes now. Is it? Then explain these bank transfers. The ones showing that you paid 3 of your friends $10,000 each to testify that I made threats against you. The same friends who have now, under oath, recanted those statements. Lily's face went white. Victoria turned to her father. Explain this email, Father. The one from Lily to her friend, dated 3 days before my birthday dinner, saying, quote, Operation Remove Emma is almost complete. Just need to manufacture one final incident. James Harrison looked like he'd been struck. That can't be real. Lily wouldn't. She did. And you were too blind to see it because she gave you exactly what you wanted. A replacement for the daughter who reminded you too much of your dead wife. The words hit James like physical blows. Victoria pressed on, ruthless now. But that's not even the best part. Shall we discuss the Chen family trust? Lily, the $50 million you stand to inherit when you turn 30, which is in 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. Lily stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. Sit down. Victoria's voice was ice. We're not done. Something in Victoria's tone made Lily sink back into her chair. The trust has a fraud clause, Victoria continued. If it can be proven that you manipulated a family member for financial gain, you lose everything. And since James Harrison is technically your adopted father, and you've manipulated him into giving you my trust fund, my inheritance, my mother's jewelry, Victoria smiled, and it was terrifying. You're about to lose $50 million, and that's just the beginning. James Harrison found his voice. Emma, please. If I was wrong, if I made mistakes, we can fix this. You're my daughter. I was your daughter. Victoria's composure cracked for just a moment, raw pain showing through. I was your daughter when I needed you. When I was sick and scared and alone, when I was sleeping in homeless shelters and going hungry, I was your daughter then, and you chose her. Tears were streaming down James's face now. I didn't know. Emma, I swear, I didn't know where you were. I tried to find you. You didn't try hard enough. Victoria's voice broke. You filed a restraining order that made it impossible for me to come home. You blacklisted me. You destroyed me. And then you moved on and built a perfect little family with your perfect replacement daughter. She's not. You're not. James couldn't form coherent sentences. Emma, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, let me make this right. Make it right. Victoria laughed, but it was hollow. You can't make this right, Father. You can't give me back the 10 years I lost. You can't erase the pain, the betrayal, the nights I wanted to die because I had nothing left. She picked up her briefcase. But I can give you something. I can give you exactly what you gave me, the experience of losing everything. By the end of this month, Harrison Properties will be mine. Your fortune will be mine, your legacy will be mine, and you will know exactly how it feels to be replaced. Victoria turned to leave, but James called out, Emma, please, she's your sister. Doesn't that mean anything? Victoria stopped, turned back slowly. She was never my sister, Victoria said quietly. She was a con artist who saw an opportunity and took it. And you fell for it because you wanted to believe, because it was easier to love a stranger who reminded you of better times than to love the daughter who reminded you of your pain. The truth of the words hung in the air. Goodbye, Father. I'll see you in court. Victoria walked out of that boardroom with her head held high, leaving chaos in her wake. But once she was in her car, alone, the mask finally crumbled. Victoria Emma put her head in her hands and sobbed like the broken girl she'd once been. Because revenge, she was learning, didn't feel nearly as good as she'd imagined it would. The next 3 weeks were a media circus. Victoria Sterling revealed as James Harrison's lost daughter, The Revenge of Emma Harrison, How a Homeless Girl Became a Billionaire. Lily Chen, Fraud Allegations. The truth behind Manhattan's biggest family drama. Victoria gave one interview. Just one? To Barbara Walters, on national television. Do you hate your father? Barbara asked. Victoria was silent for a long moment. I don't know what I feel. Hate is too simple. Love is too complicated. I'm empty, I think. He took everything from me, and I spent 10 years filling that void with ambition and anger. But now that I'm here, now that I have the power to destroy him, I realize what? That destroying him won't bring back the girl I used to be. It won't give me back my mother's love or my father's trust. It won't make me whole again. Then why are you doing this? Because someone has to hold people accountable. Because Lily Chen manipulated a grieving man and destroyed an innocent girl's life, and she needs to face consequences. Because my father chose comfort over truth, and he needs to understand the cost of that choice. The interview had over 50 million views in the first 24 hours. Public opinion was split. Half thought Victoria was justified, half thought she was vindictive, but the evidence she compiled was damning. Lily's friends confessed, on record, that Lily had paid them to lie. The emails were authenticated. The financial records showed a clear pattern of manipulation, and the Chen family trust lawyers, after reviewing Victoria's evidence, agreed. The fraud clause had been triggered. Lily Chen lost her $50 million inheritance, but she didn't go quietly. 3 days after the interview, Lily showed up at Victoria's office building. Security called Victoria, asking what to do. Let her up, Victoria said. Lily walked into Victoria's office looking nothing like the polished woman from the boardroom. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup was smeared. She looked broken. You destroyed my life, Lily said. No, Victoria replied calmly. I revealed the truth. You destroyed your own life when you chose manipulation over honesty. I loved him. Lily's voice rose. I loved your father. Maybe it started as survival, as strategy, but I grew to love him. He was kind to me when I had no one. Then you should have been honest with him. You should have told him about your connection to our family. You should have let him choose whether to help you, instead of manipulating him into adopting you. Would he have helped me if I'd been honest? Would he have given me a chance? Victoria was quiet, because the truth was, she didn't know. Maybe not, Victoria admitted, but that doesn't justify what you did to me. I was his daughter, his actual daughter, and you took that away from me. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Lily was crying now. I just wanted to be loved. Is that so wrong? My parents died, and I was alone, and your father made me feel safe. I didn't mean to replace you. I just wanted to belong somewhere, but you did replace me. Every choice you made pushed me further out. My room, my mother's jewelry, my trust fund. And then you orchestrated that final confrontation to get rid of me permanently. I panicked. Lily sobbed. You were going to expose me. I saw the way you looked at me after you found those photos. I knew you were going to tell your father everything. So yes, I manipulated that situation. I made sure when I fell, it looked worse than it was, but I didn't think he'd throw you out. I thought he'd just take my side, protect me. And he did. So thoroughly that he destroyed his own daughter in the process. Lily collapsed into a chair, completely broken. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what it's worth, I'm so sorry. I was 17 and scared and stupid. I made horrible choices, but I did love your father. I do love him, and I never wanted you to end up on the streets. Victoria looked at this woman who had destroyed her life and found that she felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, just emptiness. Your apology doesn't change anything. Lily, you're still going to lose everything. The trust fund is gone. The fraud charges will likely result in criminal prosecution. And my father, he's never going to look at you the same way again. I know. Lily stood up slowly, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry, even if it doesn't matter. Even if you can't forgive me. I needed to say it. She walked to the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Emma, Victoria, whoever you are now, you became everything I pretended to be. Smart, powerful, successful. Your father would be proud of you if he wasn't so terrified. Then she was gone. Victoria sat alone in her office, Lily's words echoing. Your father would be proud of you if he wasn't so terrified. The thing was, Victoria didn't want her father to be terrified. She wanted him to be proud, to love her, to choose her. But that girl, the one who desperately wanted her father's approval, was supposed to be dead, wasn't she? James Harrison requested a meeting. Not through lawyers, not through official channels. He called Victoria's personal number, the one nobody should have had, and left a voicemail. Emma, I know you probably won't listen to this. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I'm begging you, please, give me 1 hour. Just 1 hour to explain. I'll come to you, anywhere you want. Please, sweetheart, please. His voice broke on the last word. Victoria listened to the voicemail 17 times. Finally, she agreed. They met in a neutral location, a private room at the Plaza Hotel. Victoria arrived first, wearing armor in the form of a designer suit and perfect makeup. Her assistant Marcus waited outside, just in case. James Harrison arrived looking 10 years older than the last time she'd seen him. His hair had gone completely gray, he'd lost weight, and his eyes held a pain that Victoria recognized. She'd seen it in the mirror for years. "Thank you for coming," James said, sitting down across from her. "I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't." Victoria's voice was cold, professional, distant. "Emma, don't call me that. That person doesn't exist anymore." James flinched. "Victoria, then, though it feels wrong, like calling a stranger by name when I should know them, you don't know me. You haven't known me for 10 years. I want to." James leaned forward. "I want to know who you became, how you survived, what I can do to make this right." "You can't make it right then. Let me explain. Let me tell you my side, because you're destroying my life based on what you think happened, and I need you to understand the truth." Victoria crossed her arms. "You have 1 hour." James took a deep breath. "When your mother died, I died with her. Not physically, but in every way that mattered. She was everything. My best friend, my partner, the love of my life. And when she was gone, I didn't know how to be human anymore." Victoria said nothing. "I tried to be there for you. I tried to be the father you needed. But every time I looked at you, I saw her. Your eyes, your smile, the way you tilted your head when you were thinking. It was like being haunted. And I couldn't handle it. So you replaced me." "No, God, no. I never meant to replace you." James's voice broke. "Lily came into my life at my lowest point. I was considering ending it all. The pain was too much. And then I met this girl who had also lost everything, who understood grief in a way others didn't, and she made me laugh again, made me feel human again. So you adopted her. I wanted to help her. I wanted to do something good, something that would make Laura proud. But I didn't think about how it would affect you. I didn't realize I was building a new family at the expense of my existing one. You gave her everything that was mine, I know, and I'm sorry. The room, the jewelry, the trust fund. I told myself I was being fair, that I was making Lily feel included. But the truth is, it was easier to love Lily because she didn't remind me of what I'd lost. She was new, uncomplicated. She didn't trigger my grief. Victoria felt tears building but refused to let them fall. And when I told you I felt replaced, when I begged you to see what was happening, James put his head in his hands. I was in denial. I was so desperate to believe I was doing the right thing that I convinced myself you were just being jealous, that you needed to grow up and adjust. I couldn't see, or I wouldn't see, that Lily was manipulating me. She was 17 years old, and she played you like a violin. I know, I've seen all the evidence you compiled. The emails, the payments to her friends, the orchestrated confrontation. She manipulated me completely. But Victoria, Emma, I'm a grown man. I'm the one who should have been smarter. I'm the one who should have protected you, and I failed." The tears were falling now, despite Victoria's best efforts to stop them. "You threw me out," she whispered. "I was your daughter, and you threw me out like garbage. I thought you'd attacked Lily. I thought you'd broken her wrist intentionally. Her friends all said you'd threatened her, and I believed them, because it was easier than admitting I'd failed you so completely that you'd become violent. I never threatened her. I know that now. But in that moment, I was so convinced that you were the problem, that if I just removed you from the situation, everything would be fine. I told myself I was protecting Lily, but really, I was protecting myself from having to face what I'd done to you. You filed a restraining order. Lily's lawyer convinced me it was necessary, for everyone's safety. But after you disappeared, after I couldn't find you, I realized what I'd done. I hired 3 private investigators, spent millions trying to locate you, but you'd vanished completely." Victoria laughed bitterly. "I was in Los Angeles, sleeping in shelters, working 3 jobs just to eat. If you'd really wanted to find me, you could have. I looked in LA, but you changed your name in the system somehow. Dr. Chen helped me. When I ended up in the ER, she helped me disappear, created a new identity, because I was terrified you'd find me and make my life even worse." James's face crumpled. "You were terrified of me, your own father." Yes, they sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, James spoke again. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know that I never stopped loving you. Even when I couldn't see what I was doing, even when I chose wrong over and over again, I loved you. I still love you. You're my daughter, my blood. And I'm so sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough." Victoria was crying openly now, years of pain pouring out. "Do you know what the worst part was?" she said. "It wasn't the homelessness. It wasn't the hunger. It wasn't even losing everything. The worst part was believing that I deserved it, that if my own father didn't want me, I must be fundamentally unlovable. No, God, no. Emma, Victoria are not unlovable. You never were. I was just too broken to show you properly. Then why?" Victoria's voice rose. "Why did you make it so easy for Lily to replace me? Why didn't you fight for me, even once?" "Because I'm a coward." James said it simply, flatly. "Because facing the truth that I'd failed you, That I had chosen a stranger over my own daughter was too painful, so I doubled down. I convinced myself you were the problem. I made you the villain so I didn't have to be. Victoria stood up abruptly. I can't do this. I can't sit here and listen to your excuses. They're not excuses. They're explanations. And you deserve to know the truth, even if you hate me for it. I do hate you. The words were vicious, meant to wound, and they did. James flinched, like he'd been struck. I know, and I deserve it. But Emma Victoria, before you destroy everything I've built, I need you to ask yourself something. What? Will it make you feel better? Will taking my company, my money, my legacy, will it heal the pain, or will it just make you like me? Someone who destroys the people they love because they're too broken to face their own failures. The words hit Victoria like a truck. That's not fair, isn't it? You're targeting Harrison Properties not because it's good business, but because you want me to hurt the way you hurt. That's revenge. And revenge is just pain seeking more pain. You don't get to lecture me about pain. Victoria's voice shook. You have no idea what I went through. You're right. I don't. And I failed you catastrophically. But Emma, my beautiful, brilliant daughter, don't let my failures turn you into someone you'll hate. Don't let your pain consume you the way mine consumed me. Victoria couldn't breathe. The room was too small, too hot, too full of emotions she'd spent 10 years trying to bury. I have to go, she managed. Emma, please stop calling me that. Victoria was at the door, her hand on the handle. Emma died in that homeless shelter. She died when her father chose a stranger over her. She died, and I'm what's left. So stop trying to resurrect her. She fled, leaving James sitting alone, finally understanding the full weight of what he'd done. Victoria spent the next week in her penthouse, refusing to see anyone except Marcus. The board meeting is in 3 days. Marcus reminded her, you have enough shares to force the vote. Harrison Properties will be yours. Everything you've worked for. I know. So why do you look like you're attending a funeral instead of a coronation? Victoria didn't answer. The truth was, she'd been thinking about her father's words. Will it make you feel better? She'd spent 10 years convinced that destroying her father would heal her, that revenge would fill the void he'd left, that power would protect her from ever being hurt again. But sitting in her penthouse, alone with her billions and her plans and her perfectly executed revenge, Victoria felt as empty as she had sleeping in that shelter 10 years ago. She called Dr. Chen Victoria. Dr. Chen answered warmly. It's been months. How are you? I don't know. Victoria's voice was small, uncertain. I'm about to destroy my father's company, take everything from him like he took everything from me. And I thought I'd feel powerful, victorious, but I just feel tired. Revenge is exhausting, Dr. Chen said gently. It takes so much energy to hate someone enough to destroy them. So what do? Just let him get away with what he did to me? No. But there's a difference between justice and hash. My father abandoned me for his adopted daughter. I returned as a billionaire heiress and he begged for forgiveness. No. But there's a difference between justice and vengeance, Victoria. Justice is about accountability. Vengeance is about pain. Which one are you seeking? Victoria was silent. Let me ask you this, Doctor, Chen continued. If you destroy your father's company, if you take everything from him, will that girl who was thrown out 10 years ago finally feel safe? Or will you just be proving to yourself that the only way to be safe is to be feared? I don't know. Then maybe you need to figure that out before you make a decision you can't undo. After hanging up, Victoria stood at her window, looking out at Manhattan. Somewhere out there was her father, probably in his office, working late like he always did. She thought about what Lily had said. Your father would be proud of you if he wasn't so terrified. Did she want her father to be terrified, or did she want something else entirely? Victoria picked up her phone and made a call. Marcus, cancel the board meeting. What? Victoria? We're 3 days away from I know. Cancel it anyway. Why? What changed? Everything, nothing. I don't know. Victoria took a breath. I just know that destroying him won't give me what I really want. And what do you really want? Victoria looked at her reflection in the window. Powerful, successful, untouchable. Everything Emma Harrison could never have been. But was it enough? I want my father back, she whispered. Before Victoria could reconcile with her father, she needed to deal with Lily. Victoria requested a meeting, private, no lawyers, no witnesses. They met in Victoria's office after hours. Lily arrived looking scared but defiant. What do you want from me? Lily asked. Haven't you destroyed enough? I want the truth, Victoria said. All of it. No more games. No more manipulation. Just the truth about why you did what you did. Lily was silent for a long moment. Then she sat down, and something in her posture changed. The perfect mask she always wore cracked, revealing something raw underneath. You want the truth? Fine. Here's the truth. I was jealous of you. Victoria blinked. What? From the moment I met your father at those galas, I was jealous. You had everything I wanted. A father who loved you, a beautiful home, security, legacy, Meanwhile, I was the daughter of distant relatives that nobody cared about. My parents were always struggling, always one bad business deal away from losing everything. So you decided to take my place. Not at first. At first I admired your life from afar. But then my parents died, and I was alone, and I realized I had an opportunity. Your father knew my mother through family connections. He'd always been kind to me at events, so I reached out and manipulated him into adopting you. I didn't think of it as manipulation. Lily's voice rose. I thought of it as survival. I was 17, orphaned, with no money and no prospects. Your father offered me a lifeline, and I took it. Is that so wrong? It became wrong when you systematically pushed me out of my own life. Lily looked away. I know. At first, I just wanted to be part of the family. But then I realized that your father compared me to you constantly. And in his grief-clouded mind, I was easier. I didn't remind him of your mother. I didn't trigger his pain. So the more I became his perfect daughter, the more you became the difficult one, and you encouraged that narrative. Yes, the admission was quiet. I did, because the more space I took up, the more secure I felt. Every time your father chose me over you, it was proof that I mattered, that I wasn't just some charity case, that I had value, so you destroyed my life to prove your own worth. I didn't mean to destroy your life. Lily looked up, tears in her eyes. I just wanted to belong. And every time you fought back, every time you tried to reclaim your place, it felt like you were trying to take away the only family I had left. So yes, I manipulated situations. I lied. I orchestrated that final confrontation, but I never thought your father would actually throw you out. I thought he'd just choose me, ground you something, not exile you completely, but he did, and you let him. I was scared. Lily stood up pacing. I was terrified that if he came back, if he forgave you, I'd lose everything. So I encouraged him to keep the restraining order. I told him you were dangerous. I let him destroy you because I was too selfish and scared to tell the truth. Victoria felt something shift inside her. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. You were 17 and traumatized. Victoria said slowly, that doesn't excuse what you did. But I can understand the desperation that drove it. I don't deserve your understanding. No, you don't. But I'm going to give it to you anyway, because holding on to hatred is exhausting, and I'm tired of being angry. Lily looked at her in shock. You're not going to destroy me. The fraud charges and the lost inheritance are your consequences. You earned those. But I'm not going to pursue criminal prosecution, and I'm not going to tell my father he needs to disown you. Why not? Victoria thought about her answer carefully. Because he loves you. Maybe not the way he should have loved me, maybe not for the right reasons, but he loves you. And I'm not going to destroy something he loves just to make a point. I've done enough damage, you've done damage. Victoria, I destroyed your life, and I was about to destroy his. That makes us both guilty of using love as a weapon. Victoria stood up. We can't undo the past, Lily, but we can choose who we become moving forward. I'm choosing not to be the person who destroys families, even broken ones. Lily was crying now. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't mean anything, but I'm so sorry for what I did to you. It means something, Victoria said. Not enough to fix anything, but something. Lily stood to leave, then paused at the door. For what it's worth, your father talks about you all the time, has for years. Emma would have loved this book. Emma used to love the beach. Emma was so smart, you never left his mind. Even when you left his house, the words hit Victoria harder than she expected. After Lily left, Victoria sat alone in her office, crying for the first time in years, not from anger or pain, but from something that felt almost like hope. Victoria invited her father to dinner, her choice of restaurant, Neutral Ground. James Harrison arrived 15 minutes early, looking nervous. Victoria had never seen her father nervous before. They sat across from each other, the table feeling like a vast ocean between them. Thank you for agreeing to see me, James said. After our last conversation, I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't, Victoria admitted, but I realized that I have a choice to make. I could spend the rest of my life punishing you for your mistakes, or I could try to build something new. What are you saying? I'm saying that I'm tired, Dad. I'm tired of being angry, tired of planning revenge, tired of being Victoria Sterling, the Ice Queen who destroys anyone who crosses her. I want to be Emma again, at least parts of her. James's eyes filled with tears. Emma, but I can't just forget what happened. I can't pretend that 10 years of pain didn't happen. So if we're going to rebuild any kind of relationship, it has to be on new terms, with honesty, with boundaries, with accountability, whatever you need, anything. Victoria pulled out a document. She'd been working on it for days. This is a contract, not a legal one, but a family one. My terms for us moving forward. James took it, reading carefully. The document outlined everything. Therapy requirements, communication expectations, financial boundaries, and most importantly, acknowledgement of past wrongs. When James finished reading, he looked up. This is fair, more than fair. I'll sign it. But, Emma, Victoria, I need you to know something. What? I don't expect you to call me dad again. I don't expect you to love me the way you used to. I don't even expect forgiveness. But I will spend the rest of my life proving that I'm sorry, that I see you, that I value you, that I'm the father you deserved all along. Victoria felt her walls cracking. I saw Lily, she said. We talked. James stiffened. What did she say? She told me the truth about the manipulation, about her jealousy, about how she was just a scared kid trying to survive. Victoria paused. I'm not pursuing criminal charges against her. Why not? After what she did to you, because she was 17 and traumatized. And I'm not going to destroy a young woman the way I was destroyed. She's lost a trust fund, lost a reputation. That's consequence enough. You're a better person than I am, James said quietly. No, I'm just someone who understands that revenge doesn't heal wounds. It just creates new ones. They ordered dinner, ate slowly, talked about small things at first, the weather, the city, neutral topics that didn't hurt. But gradually, they moved deeper. James talked about the years Victoria was gone, how he'd wake up sometimes thinking he heard her footsteps, how he'd kept her room exactly as she left it, unable to admit she was really gone. Victoria talked about Los Angeles, Dr. Chen, the climb from nothing to everything, the loneliness of success. I built an empire, Victoria said, but I don't have anyone to share it with. I have employees, business partners, people who fear me or want something from me, but no family, no real friends, just emptiness. I know that feeling, James said. I filled my life with work and pretended it was enough, but it never was. We're not very good at being happy, are we? Victoria laughed, but there was sadness in it. No, but maybe we can learn. Together, it wasn't a fairy tale reunion. There were no dramatic hugs or instant forgiveness, but it was a start. Victoria sat in Dr. Morrison's office, her therapist of the past, year reviewing the progress they'd made. How are things with your father, doctor? Morrison asked. Better. Not perfect, but better. We have dinner once a week. We talk on the phone. He's actually interested in my life now, not just proud of my success. And Lily, we're cordial. She's in therapy too, working through her own trauma. She moved out of Dad's house, got her own place. She's trying to figure out who she is when she's not playing a role. Do you think you'll ever be friends? Victoria considered this. No. Too much history, too much pain. But maybe we can be people who exist in the same family without destroying each other. That's growth. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like settling. Sometimes settling for peace is the bravest choice we can make. Victoria had made other changes too. She'd stepped back from Sterling Enterprises, hiring a CEO to run the day-to-day operations. She'd started a foundation, the Emma Harrison Foundation for Homeless. Using her wealth to help kids in situations like hers had been Dr. Chen. Had been so proud when Victoria told her, "You're using your pain to help others," Dr. Chen had said. That's true strength. Victoria had also reconnected with Alex, her friend from the bookstore who'd helped her when everything fell apart. He was married now, with 2 kids, running a successful publishing house. I always knew you'd do amazing things, Alex said when they met for coffee. Even when you were at your lowest, I could see the fire in you. I'm not sure that fire was healthy, Victoria admitted. It was mostly rage. Rage can be fuel. You just have to know when to stop burning and start building. Victoria was learning to build not empires or companies or revenge plots, but a life. A real life, with connections and purpose and something that almost felt like happiness. 5 years after that first boardroom confrontation, Victoria Harrison she'd reclaimed her birth name, legal listed in front of Harrison Properties for a very different kind of meeting. Her father was retiring, and he'd asked Victoria to take over as CEO. I know it's ironic, James had said when he made the offer, given that you were planning to destroy this company 5 years ago, but you're the only person I trust to run it, the only person who understands what it means, what it could be. Victoria had taken 3 months to decide. In the end, she said yes. Not because she wanted her father's company, but because she wanted to transform it into something better. Something that actually helped people instead of just making money. The board meeting was packed. Executives, investors, media, everyone wanted to see the infamous Ice Queen take control of her father's empire. But Victoria wasn't the Ice Queen anymore. She was just Emma, older, wiser, scarred but healing. 5 years ago, Victoria began, I stood in this room and declared war on my father. I wanted revenge. I wanted destruction. I wanted everyone who'd hurt me to pay. She paused, looking around the room. But revenge is empty. Destruction is easy. What's hard is rebuilding, forgiving, choosing to be better than the people who hurt you. James Harrison sat in the front row, tears streaming down his face. Harrison Properties has a complicated history. My father built it with brilliance and ambition, but he also built it with cutthroat tactics, with putting profit over people, with the same ruthlessness that eventually destroyed his own family. The room was silent. Under my leadership, that changes. We're going to build housing for the homeless, create job training programs, invest in communities instead of just extracting from them. We're going to prove that you can be successful and ethical, profitable and compassionate. She looked directly at her father. We're going to build the company my mother would have been proud of. The room erupted in applause. After the meeting, James approached Victoria. Your mother would be so proud of you, he said. I'm so proud of you, I know. Dad, I know. They hugged, not the tentative, careful hugs of the past 5 years, but a real embrace, the kind that said, I see you. I love you. We're going to be okay. Lily was there too, in the back of the room. She'd stayed with Harrison Properties, working in community outreach, a role Victoria had helped her find. Their eyes met across the room. Lily smiled. Victoria smiled back. Not friendship, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. We survived. We're still here. 10 years after Victoria Sterling crashed that boardroom meeting, Emma Harrison stood in her penthouse getting ready for a charity gala. She was 38 now, CEO of Harrison Properties, founder of 3 charitable foundations, named one of Time's most influential people, but more importantly, she was happy, really happy. She'd reconnected with Dr. Chen, who'd become like a second mother to her. She'd built genuine friendships with people who knew her whole story and loved her anyway. She'd even started dating a professor at Columbia who made her laugh and didn't care about her billions. Her father was healthy, retired, spending his time volunteering and trying to make amends for his past mistakes. They had dinner every Sunday. It was their tradition. Lily had moved to California, started her own nonprofit, was engaged to someone who loved her for who she really was, not who she pretended to be. She and Emma exchanged emails occasionally, cordial, brief, but honest. The wounds had healed, even if the scars remained. Emma looked at herself in the mirror. She saw someone she recognized now. Not the broken girl who'd been thrown out, not the ice queen who'd sworn revenge, just Emma, complicated, scarred, but whole. Her phone buzzed. A text from her father. Can't wait to see you tonight. I'm bringing someone special. I think your mother would have approved. Emma smiled. Her father had started dating someone, a widow he'd met at a grief support group. Someone kind and genuine who saw past his wealth to the lonely man underneath. Emma texted back, can't wait to meet her. Love you, Dad. 3 words that had taken years to say again, but they felt true now. As Emma headed out to the gala, she stopped by the photograph on her mantle. The one of young Emma and her mother at the beach, both laughing, both happy. We made it. Mom, Emma whispered. It took longer than expected, and the path was rougher than it should have been. But we made it. The city lights of Manhattan sparkled below, full of possibility. Emma Harrison had lost everything and clawed her way back to the top. But the real victory wasn't the billions, or the power, or the revenge she'd chosen not to take. The real victory was standing here, whole, able to love and be loved, able to say I forgive you and mean it, able to say I forgive me and believe it. The girl who'd been abandoned on the streets of Los Angeles had become a woman who could abandon her hate, her rage, her need for revenge. And in doing so, she'd found something more valuable than any empire. She'd found herself,